What's up, guys? Ella from Beat Culture. In this video, I will be sharing a lot of things. Studio One 7 in 2025. Is it still relevant? Yeah. Studio One is fire. So I'm going through a beat from scratch, and I'll pause a few seconds in here, and we'll talk about some things. So if you're new to Studio One, we are currently in Studio One 7. It is either a subscription model or a perpetual license. You can own the outright license and don't have to worry about any monthly payments, anything like that. There's options. So you have to look at that and see what works for you. But Studio One itself is super powerful in everything that it does. I'm not going to go through everything. We're just going to come from a music production or more so a beginner standpoint. Maybe some pointers, some things that you can look at when you're creating, or as to why Studio One 7 is powerful, in creating beat. All right, so a couple of things we could do right now. This is the linear format. When Studio One opens, it opens up blank like this, unless you have a template. Then this is otherwise what you will see. They have this thing called clip launch. I believe that's what this is called, or scenes. You can start a beat using this. This is more so a concept of Ableton or Bitwig or even Machine. There's a slot in there that kind of mimics this section. So real quick, what do you start with first? Some people start with drums. Some people start with chords. Some people start with a melody. Some people start with samples. Everybody's different. I say go with what you hear first. So maybe we can go from a loop. Now I'm going to use Splice, which is actually integrated inside of Studio One, which is a dope feature here. I have favorite something I want to use, which is this. All right, so I'm going to drag that in. That's your option. You can drag it in the arranger window, or you can drag it in a slot right here, and it just loop over and over and over. The cool thing about this integration is everything talks to the tempo. So if you speed the song up or slow it down, everything will be in timing, right? Just keep in mind that the audio engine may have to change accordingly, and you do that by clicking the I button. This is the information section, and then you go to the time stretch, and then you can choose your options here. Right now, as of the recording of this video, Studio One is limited to the options we could pick, but between these you can find something that will make, because if you speed it up, it's going to sound a little crazy, you know what I mean? So you may have to change something here, but for now that's fine. Now you may or may not have Serato, but I feel like Serato is a dope option to have. It costs a little more money, but it is one of those things that you will like to have. It took me a while to get it myself, but once I got it, I was like, dang, why didn't I get this a long time ago? But anyway, when you have Serato sample, it allows you to be able to chop a sample and move stuff around and build a new perspective from something you downloaded from Splice. I want to make that a point, because there's a lot of people who's using these free royalty free samples, which is great because you paying a subscription to Splice. By the way, Splice is a subscription, so you can't get around that. However, although it's free, it's really not. You know what I mean? You got to think about it. These samples that are available to everybody, and there's a lot of people out here making music, and you don't want to be the one caught using the same sample. All right, so I would love to drag this sample inside of Serato. You can't do that here. That's not possible for some, I don't know. You can do that in Ableton Live, but you can't do it here. I don't think you could do it from here either. Nope, which is a bummer. So what I found was, as long as you drop it somewhere in the project, you can find it, because it'll actually live in your pool section. You can't even drag it from the pool section either. So don't even try. I'm doing that for you. So what you have to do is, the workaround is right click in the pool section and then say show finder. Now, if you're on a PC, it may be different, but just go to the option that allows you to go to your files, and it'll take you straight to the files, and you have to drag it from your file section into Serato sample itself. And that's the way that works. It's a couple more steps, but you know. All right, so we got that going. And then in Serato, what I like to do is select the slicer, and I'll just pick anything. Say select set slice. Yeah, that's the first thing you have to do. Select the slice, set slicer, and then click the thing. Yeah, and then what it does, it takes sections of that sample and chop it up evenly. So if I can find the key. Oh, we have to activate. All right, here we go. You know what I'm saying? This would allows you to mess around and come up with something pretty unique, you know? So we're going from scratch, and we're just kind of, let's figure out something. I like that. Let's go with that. Oh, first of all, what I like to do is turn on the metronome. Here at the bottom, if I hover over this, it will say pre-count. Now, I have mine set to, well, all I have to do is hit that button. And I think you could set a macro to do this as well. But, you know, it's one of those things where once you load into Studio One, you only hit that button once. But you have to remember to do that. Basically, it gives you a count in, and if you hit the wrench icon right next to that, it will be a window that pop up, and it will give you the option to change some things. Now, this is set once and forget type deal. I make sure that my pre-count is on, and all of these options are unchecked. I don't want to click and play while I'm playing the track, because to me, when the metronome is counting, it feels like we in record mode, you know. There are some other applications that don't do that, like Bitwig, Ableton as well. It doesn't work like this, where it's either the metronome's on or off. That's how those programs work. This one can give you a pre-count, click while recording, and then when you play back, it will automatically not hear the metronome. So that's how this works. Anyway, the pre here is the circle. Let's get going. Okay, I like that. I like that as well. All right, so here we go. All right, so that's cool. Now, the whole concept, if you're not familiar with this scene situation, like why would you, so this is, like I say, this is coming from Ableton, that type of workflow. If you're coming from Ableton and you're used to a workflow like that, then this is pretty cool because it helps you come up with ideas really quickly. But your arrange window is ultimately your song arranger, where you're going to arrange everything. But this is kind of cool that they added this, because we just come up with something real quick. All right, so let's go back to the top. All right, so let's fix it to where we get everything timing, and the quick key command for that is Q. Studio One also has the ability to allow you to pick when you select the area on the timeline. You can turn on this deal where it will just automatically just lock. And it's really, when you go here to transport, you go here to options, and it's going to be enable play start marker, right? So what I did was I set a key command to this where all I have to do is hit a key on my keyboard. And real quick, I'll show you how to do that if you don't know that. And this is going to be your best friend inside of Studio One. Setting key or setting commands to a key on your keyboard instead of going in menus all the time. That's just time consuming. And while we at it, I'm looking at this here. Let me fix this real quick. It just went too far over. Just move that over right there. That looks better. And over time, you can see, you can eyeball these things and you can tell what's off, and you know what I mean. All right, so I'm going to go to the section. You have to go to preference, and then you go to general keyboard shortcuts, and then in here, what was that command? And like I say, over time you get to learn what these things are called. But this one is this is the place start marker. So I'm just typing in place start. Right. So here's my key command. Mine is this little squiggly line. The button on the left side of the one key. Yeah. In your keyboard section, not the numeric section, but the right above your letters, your QWERTY key letters. So this is what it's set to, and as you can see, it tells me that that's a key command. And also, if there's a key command set to any of these, you can quickly look and see where they are or what it is. See, right next to it, it tells me, oh, this is a command. Because sometimes you may forget, that you created a command for it. And you can grab it real quick, or any of the default key that Studio One deems that is what it is. You can learn those keys, but you have full control over customizing your own stuff. The other cool thing is that Studio One allows you to move your key commands from other platforms. So if you are coming from Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Cakewalk, dang. Ableton Live, FL Studio, wow, it's quite a bit of them. They allow you to import your key commands over from those programs, and some of the same commands that you were using, it may be called something different in here. You just have to learn the terminology, but that's how it works. So that's really cool. I was coming from Logic, and it allowed me to keep my key commands because I was used to like joining two regions. It was called join, or the command was J in Logic. But in here, I think it was G to glue two regions together. Something to that extent. Yeah, the terminology is different. All right. The other thing I want to tell you about is that some of these samples are it's sensitive. Like it only holds as long as you hold the key. Like, so it just depends on how long you hold the key, and it's more so of a ADSR type method. Never mind, don't worry about that term if you don't know what that is, but that's fine. It's not one shot. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, ignore that if you don't get what. Ignore that. Some of these terminologies, you'll get it. All right, so some of them are short. Listen to it. You notice how it's chopped. You might like that because oftentimes in hip hop, that is something that is used. There's some stuff that sound like it's chopped. In this case, I want it to be a little bit more smoother than that. So I'm gonna highlight all of them, and then I'm gonna go to my macro keys and say legato and overlap, and this is gonna lock everything. So basically, the end of a region is gonna touch the tip of the next region, not the region, the MIDI note. Sorry. The end of a MIDI note will touch the tip of the next one. Here we go. Actually, I think I do like the chop sound. So I'm going to select those and go like this. You know what? I'm going to lock these two together. Select that. that again. I want to look out those and then take this and that one, bring that back a little bit like that. Now, what I could do from here is I could just leave that like that, or I can bounce this in place. And I kind of like doing that, bouncing it in place, because it's more so committing to that sound. So I could drag this over here, and currently that's what it is right now. You can't, like, there's some features that are missing when you're in this section. So I'm gonna bring it over here, and we're gonna just bounce this in place real quick. Bounce selection. I also have a key command for that as well. And then I could just take this and bring this over. Let's go back. Bring that over. I'm gonna mute this real quick. Oh, the next thing you want to know is if you are choosing to work from the scene or the range, you have to understand that you have to activate one or the other. Both of them can play at the same time, but on every channel, it only plays from either or, right? I want you to understand that. So from this channel, I want to activate this side, the singing side. So that means I can get rid of this technically, and then play it from here. I had to hit the play button, obviously. You see what I'm saying? Now, another thing about this is let's think of some ways that this could be useful. That, you know, like, okay, so what's the purpose? I don't see myself using this. You may have like a drum loop or something that you want to just constantly repeat. You can leave it in this section and it'll just do what it does. Instead of being in the range window and looping something, say like you working on a song and you are plenty bars in, you know what I mean? And when I say bars, it's the same as saying measures. So you at the top, these numbers, we call these bars. So this is the 5th bar, this is the 6th bar, 7, 8, 9, blah, blah, blah. But you could be like on 123rd bar or whatever. If you got the scene playing, it's just going to play wherever you are. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You don't have to loop nothing, but just keep in mind that, you know, I guess from a visual standpoint, if you want to do any editing, anything like that, then you have to make sure that you get that version over. But like, that's another way you can use it, whether this is just in here playing from that section per se. You know what I mean? Let me get some more real estate and just kind of decrease the browser section. So technically nothing is in the range window in terms of this sample. And I'm gonna take Serato and I'm gonna actually delete it. Just so it's gonna work from the sample. And notice how my measure or my locator is just continually counting. And because this sample, this is like a playback loop, so to speak. But like I say, if you want to bring it in, you just bring it in. This is how we do that. And then when you do that, you have to activate the arranger. Now we're playing from the range. Check this out. So now it's going to stop because that is the amount of time we gave it to play. You see what I'm saying? See, that's how that works. And if you want it to continue to play, you have two options. You can take this and loop it to however long you want it to be, or you can take your, you know, highlight that section and just hit D. D is also a command that I give in my system, or it might be by default, actually, I don't know. But yeah, we're just going to do it that way. Also, you want to find key commands to change the zoom and zoom out features, because that can be, that's one of those life improvement features. Instead of coming here at the bottom every time and trying to like this could be forever. This is not ideal. So if you are new, the key commands for that, let's see, zoom. So I have to go in here and say, so zoom in, zoom out, and then there's a zoom vertical and horizontal. That's what I have here. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. I have mine set to Apple and all of the left. That's how mine's is set up. Yours may be different. It may have something totally different, but at least that's how you find them, and you could change them, or you could learn whatever the Studio One puts there. It's up to you. But I'm gonna get out of that. That's how mine is set up. Where I can just do this. You know what I mean? Yeah, those are one of those features you might want to set up first when you come in here. Another cool thing about this is Studio One allows you to put everything in front of you, resize everything depending on how many tracks. It will like fit them all on in one view. You can hit this button right here, and it will just keep everything in view, big and right there center. You can do that. From time to time, I will do that, just if I want to just see everything in one glimpse. But it's not like this the whole time, because I need to be able to resize and move stuff around. So that's how that works. All right. All right. So the next thing is I could drag in some drums from Splice if I wanted to, or we can just build our own drums. I like to build my own drums. I'm just that type of person. So I'm going to go to contact 8, and I don't even know right now what drums I want to use. We're just gonna play around and see what we come up with. Also, it's worth mentioning while this is loading that you want to have a external hard drive with all your library on them to stream content from there. You never want to put your library like this. Native Instruments is one of those things where you want to have, and trust me, you want to have an external hard drive, and you want to have the hard drive to be fast enough to find things. Mine is not an SSD, so it will take time for Contact to load every time. But once you get Contact going, it pretty quick. Here from here on out. So the initial brought in, bringing it in initially always take the most time. Anyway, these 24 keys. This is kind of fresh. Just came out. Actually, I don't want that. I want the 24 drums. That's what we're working on next. Here we go. Let's test out these drums. Let's see what happens. When quantizing, sometimes I don't get involved in quantizing. First of all, let's get rid of that sound. Right? If you feel the need to quantize, and I would say rightly so, that this is something that needs to be quantized, you can go to where your quantize options are, and you have options here. And I think we're going to go with 1/8, and you have the ability to change the strength of your quantization. So I'm going to say maybe 57, and it get me close to the grid, but I don't want to really lock it in. But let's see what it sounds like. All right. There's something that hit at first. Let's see. It is. And to help you see things better, you can also click and change the view. So say like drums might be better fitting. One of those things I clicked in the beginning that I don't want. And I think it was something down here. Yeah. Let's increase the That's interesting. If I need to see a little more, we can do like that. I'm gonna decrease the volume here. And all right, so let's put a loop around that so this can loop while we work on these drums. I like to use something called Trinity Shaper that gives the drums even more of a punch. Alright, so we're gonna change the quantize on this. Let's go with 69. Okay. Quantize that. Alright, so I'm quantizing it every time I input something in it, but you can turn on the option to quantize automatically as you add the notes in there. So I think that's what we'll do, just so it won't sound crazy when we are done with this. So the way to do that is by hitting this input quantize, and if you hover over it, it will tell you input quantize. That's also the other good thing about Studio One. Not saying that other programs don't, but Studio One has that option where you hover over something and it tells you what it is, just so you won't, feel lost or whatever. And I think you could turn it off if you want to. I find it to be super helpful. I'm not going to turn it off, but I think you can turn it off. But I just figured out how to do that. All right, so I want to add a distortion of some kind. Studio One has this thing called red light distortion. Let me share this with you guys. It is always best to use onboard effects. So if a plugin comes with EQ, distortion, reverb, or whatever the case might be, I think it might be easier. Well, it on your system, it will make better sense to use what's available instead of grabbing an additional effects. And that's what I did. I went straight to the effects because these are some of the things I like to use. But try the distortion. I noticed that there's a distortion here automatically. It's already in here. So I'm going to just increase that and see what it sounds like. I actually like that better because it's more of a creative approach to what's going on. You know, this is obviously there's some things under the hood that's making it sound interesting, and I like it. Regular distortion is not going to work, so we're just going to remove that. All right, so let's go back to Splice. This is where we change the engine. Kind of like the deal in here. So we're going to put this in the range window. So we're going to make some adjustments here. So look like this, like that. So we're going to come in here and increase the view. And then we're going to right click and we're going to open up this deal called gain envelope. This is something Studio One is pretty cool. You can make adjustments inside the clip by itself. Could do stuff like this. Take that, bring that whole section down, and then I can get rid of that node right there. Kind of do something like that, or like that, or you know what I'm saying? I can get creative and do whatever I want. Take that like that. So I'm gonna create like a little curve, and we're gonna do something like that. All right. So that's how that is done. And you want to be careful when you're trying to move stuff around. You could leave it like this if you want to. I'm gonna uncheck it. That doesn't mean it's deactivated. It's not deactivated. The work is still there. I'm just deactivating the view. Then I'm gonna take this and put it there. Bring that down some. Relabel it. And I'm gonna kind of come back to here and readjust the kick. Oh, I could put an EQ on it, but what I want to do is avoid the situation in low end where the bass and the kick is fighting. So I can say, hey, can we decrease that? You know what I'm saying? I could do something like that. Now, when you're doing things like this, I think this is where you might want to quantize everything. So All right, so we could do a couple things here. We could do side chain here to make better sense out of this. Something I like to do also when like trying to fix frequency, I like to side chain. So I'm gonna add an EQ here. And I'm gonna side chain that to this contact deal. Maybe I should rename it, right? Make it better. All right, so what's happening here is that we can see the EQ curve of the bass and the drums at the same time. So I'm going to I could do it like this. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can see, oh, this right here, they are definitely not liking. You know what I'm saying? You can make your adjustments like that. So when you start building drums and connecting them together, they start to come together, and then it's like, oh, okay. I might want to change the bass. Go ahead and make some changes. I like that better. That's what I have for this video. Stay tuned for the next video where we just continue. We keep going.